All right. Let's get the speech chat going here. All right. What is good, everybody? It is the Godfather of VR, the ageless, one of the man looking clay. We are back. We're jumping into some AC Evo today, but definitely want to talk about a few topics today. So much to the point that shit, I might be doing more talking than racing today because there is a lot to talk about. And I think just about, I've got four topics that um that I wrote down that I wanted to talk about. And I guess you could tie every one of these subjects into sim racing or gaming altogether. And today for the first time I am wearing my Ferrari shirt. Um I bought this shirt about a month and a half ago from the Puma store at our outlet mall called Tanger Outlets. I had bought three shirts from there. I bought this Ferrari shirt, a BMW shirt, and a Porsche shirt. And unfortunately, my favorite game, Project Motor Racing, doesn't have any Ferraris in it, so I couldn't wear it. I would feel out of place wearing the Ferrari shirt while playing Project Motor Racing or while playing Automobilista 2 because that's another game that does not have Ferraris in it. Um, Up until now, I wasn't sure if Race Room is going to get their Ferrari license back. It expired, and I think it expired a month and a half ago. And they said that they were in talks with Ferrari to renew the license. And honestly, I was very doubtful that they would get a renewal. That is up until today. Um, which the two probably don't correlate, but it's still a tinfoil hat moment on my part. So a couple of days ago, um, I think I saw it in passing. I can't really remember for sure, but I'm sure it's video out there, whatever. But I believe I saw a video of. Well, I know I saw a video was Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton uh, unveiling a new Ferrari vehicle, which I think was the Ferrari Luce or Luce, and it is a fully electric vehicle. And when I first saw it, my flash in the pan thought was that shit is ugly. Now, like, no, I'll never be able to afford one, so my opinion means about that much. And then when I started thinking about it again, I was like, why does this vehicle have that Jaguar aura to it? And um it turns out that this vehicle was not well received. Um there's been massive backlash about this vehicle. Some prominent Ferrari executives do not like it, or past executives or whatever, and says some less than flattering things about this vehicle. They believe it's hurting the brand. I think one of the executives said that at the very least, take the prancing horse off the side of the car because he doesn't want that Ferrari logo on there anywhere. Um, and as a result of this vehicle, Ferrari stock has dropped 8%. And I guess as far as value goes, I guess they lost $5.4 billion in market value. So it looks like Ferrari has, even though I stay away from these topics, I definitely know it's out there, but Ferrari looks like the next company in a long line of companies who who seem to have gone out of their way to make a bold statement. And these bold statements didn't go well with consumers, and it cost these companies a lot of money. And some of these companies have been spending the past couple of years trying to repair their images. You know, we know the situation with for some of you, or a lot of you probably knew the situation with Jaguar, with Bud Light, with Gillette, Ford, Nissan, and many other companies have gone out of their way to make a bold statement with their products. And rather than, I think their products, rather than trying to find an audience for these products, the perception is that they're trying to force a message onto the world. And it has not been well received. You know, and it's not just these companies, it's movies, video games, TV shows. They've done the same thing, have gone in a direction that viewers and consumers do not like. And they spent years and years and years trying to, what is perceived as pushing a message on everybody. And I think in the case of Jaguar, I think a video that I watched, they said that Jaguar went bankrupt and fired all the executives behind that marketing push that pretty much devalued the brand. Because when Jaguar went down that road, it was fiercely rejected. And Jaguar owners that had driven Jaguars for 20 plus years got rid of their Jaguars because they didn't want to be associated with a brand that they felt was trying to drive a message home. You know, I never knew that Ford and Nissan tried the same, tried the same move. And they cost them a lot of money, so they spent the past few years trying to repair their images and making it clear that they're moving away from these bold statements. And it has been perceived that probably the last 10 years or so that Disney has been the biggest practitioner of these bold statements. And even they have tried to, as I guess, trying to repair their image, but a lot of people don't believe them. A lot of people think that Disney's lying and that they're still trying to push messages, but they're trying to hide the messages, trying to rope you into buy it and seeing their movies and stuff like that, and then the message gets revealed at the movies. So what does that have to do with sim racing? Well, as I kind of said before, games like Automobilista 2, Project Motor Racing do not have Ferrari licenses. And as I said earlier, Race Room, their Ferrari license has expired, and they are talking with Ferrari to try to renew the license. And I was under the impression, that either Ferrari is very hard to deal with or their licenses are very expensive, or they only give the licenses out to certain certain games and won't give the licenses out to games that they think might diminish the brand. I don't know. Because in the case of Project Motor Racing and Automobilista 2, they got all the cars. Both of those, they got a ton of cars. And Ferrari's really the only brand that's missing from those games. A game like Le Mans Ultimate, I think it was a given that they would have Ferraris in the game because Ferrari has a long-standing history with the 24 hours of Le Mans. When you think of the 24-hour of Le Mans, other than the moments when Ford won it in the 60s to beat Ferrari, and the year that Mazda won it, other than that, you kind of think of Ferrari and Porsche domination through the decades. So it stands to reason that it would be a given that Le Mans Ultimate would have a Ferrari license. Assetto Corsa, Assetto Corsa Competizione, and Assetto Corsa Evo. I think it stands to reason that they would get a license because they are an Italian company, and Ferrari is an Italian car company. GT7, Forza, it stands to reason that they would get Ferrari licenses because they got deep pockets. And their games are on, Forza and GT7 are on a world stage. So yeah, that would be huge exposure for the Ferrari brand. But Race Room was the one that surprised me the most because I think in the past, Race Room had been left for dead. And it's a free-to-play game, so I was a little bit shocked, when they had first got the 296 on there. I was like shocked, but I was like, hey, cool, great, because they were, starting to catch up with the GT3s. So I thought that was pretty cool. Now, how does it all tie into sim racing? The current real life Ferrari situation. It's a tinfoil hat moment. It more than likely won't have anything to do with it. It's just a nice thought that if Ferrari, the route that they have taken with this new EV and the backlash that it's receiving, if their stocks continue to plummet and tarnish the brand to the point where I wouldn't say bankruptcy, but it would put a big dent in them, maybe Ferrari will do the opposite and start calling people and say, put our car in your game. Maybe they call Nintendo and beg Nintendo to put a Ferrari in the next Mario Kart game. That'd be a funny thought, though. But yeah, that's a tinfoil hat moment. But now it's just like, when I thought of Jag, the Jaguar that I grew up on, Jaguar was that luxury car. In my opinion, Jaguar was that luxury car that people bought when they didn't want to look like the common rich people who were driving BMWs and Benzes. Because even though you gotta have a good amount of dough to drive those cars, they're common. You still see them everywhere. You don't see Jags everywhere. So, but now this new Jag, that route that they went down, this neon looking shit, like, if I had enough money to buy a car, it wouldn't be that. I can tell you that. And I don't know what's going to happen to Ferrari, but it don't have the same punch. The Ferrari name don't have the same punch as it did as it did say as early as 2 weeks ago.
At Shumi_VR said, 296 is the last Ferrari, everything after face vomiting.
Yeah, even the 296, the street version, the production version of the 296, I don't like it. The production version of the Corvette, I don't like it. But the race cars, I love them. If I ever had enough money and I was like filthy rich, if I was going to buy a Ferrari 296, I would buy an actual race car and make it street legal. If they like, why not go to the no, I want the race car. I want that big wing. I want the arrows. You know, I want the big wheels. Same thing with the Corvette. When I put up that video short a couple of years ago when I went to the Detroit Grand Prix, and I showed that video that I believe it was a Corvette GTE. It was definitely a Corvette C8, but I think it was the GTE car. That car, you know, the Corvette, the racing car Corvette, the beautiful car. The street version of that car, I don't like it. It looks like a cheap Ferrari. It looks like a Ferrari knockoff. So there's that. Let's move on to the second subject that I wanted to talk about. And here, let me show you guys. Let me bring that over here. And new streams on scene 2. And here we are. The Steam Deck. These two Steam Deck models just went up in price. They were originally priced at $550 and $650 respectively. The 512 gig model went up from $550 to $789, which is a $239 increase. If I'm reading that right. Yeah, from 550 to, yeah, that's a $239 increase. And then the 1 terabyte model just went from $650 to $950, a $300 increase. These companies are taking turns raising prices on us. When I was young, I think you would have your major brands, and then you would have these startup companies that would come along and undercut them. And if they had a great product, it kind of forced the major brands to lower their prices before this small company becomes a serious threat. Now I think we've entered an age where if you got two restaurants next to each other and one of the restaurants raises their burgers from $5 to $8, well, the restaurant next to them, instead of seeing that as an opportunity to keep my prices the same, which would in a sense be an undercut by keeping their prices the same, and seizing that moment to grab the market share, they seem to take on this mentality. Well, hell, if your burgers are $8, if you're raising your burgers to $8, my burgers are the same as yours. So I should be charging $8 for my burger. So none of these companies seem to be taking the opportunity to undercut each other. one of them does it, and it seems like the rest of them, they just follow suit. Now, what their mindset is when they do it, I don't know if they're thinking, well, my product is worth it too, so I'm raising my price, or if it's a situation where, holy shit, you know, this company's, because they raised their prices, you know, we got to raise ours too, so we can get in on this money. We can't let them have all of it. I don't know, but what does that have to do with us? Well, I guess it's really unfortunate that it happened to the Steam Deck, because Valve is loved by everybody, and this is unfortunate. But I guess we shouldn't be surprised when you have the Xbox Rogue Ally X, whatever it is. I think that's like $1,000. And then you have like the Lenovo Legion Goes. I think I've seen one of those things like fucking $1,700 or something like that at Best Buy. And then I think a cheaper version of it was like $1,400. So I guess it doesn't sound surprising that Valve decided to jump in on this shit too. But I agree with some of the sentiment that I've been seeing across Twitter that, well, now that they raised the price of the Steam Deck this much, I would spend the extra $50 and get the Rogue Ally, because I'm hearing that it's a much powerful handheld than the Steam Deck.
They need to offer a frame less, keep the battery and standalone junk. At Shumi_VR said, but keep the eye tracking.
They need to offer a frameless, keep the battery and the standalone junk, but keep the eye tracking. Yeah. So let me come back to Steam. So now, because they raised the price of the Steam Deck, it's got everybody wondering what the price of the upcoming Steam machine is going to be, and what the price of the upcoming Steam Frame, their new VR headset, is going to cost. Starting with the VR headset, I see absolutely no reason to get this headset. In my opinion, the only thing that separates this headset from any other is that it runs on Linux, which means, you know, connected to any other Linux machine, it'll probably run better than the others. And then it's wireless. It's wireless, and you can switch back and forth between PC VR and standalone, and still remain wireless. But the pass-through is black and white, which is kind of outdated these days, because a lot of headsets have color pass-throughs. It's being made with LCD panels, which a lot of headsets are still made with LCD panels, but but it's a cost-saving move, because like OLED panels and LED panels are more. I think this Quest Pro headset that I use has many LEDs. And I think that's part of the reason why it was so expensive, because that headset was originally $1,500, and the shit did not sell, so they dropped the price to $1,000, and then kind of changed the marketing on the headset, because it was supposed to be an enterprise headset used for business meetings and shit like that. But when nobody bought it, they dropped it to $1,000 and changed it, and like basically tried to say that it's a gaming headset. You know, now they decided they wanted our dollars. So, one thing they said about the Steam Frame is that it would cost less than the Valve Index, which was $1,000 when that launched. So when they say it'll less than the Valve Index, I take that as $900. But now with this price of the Steam Deck, I'm thinking $975. No, shit, maybe even $999, because technically it would still be under $1,000. People are now speculating that the Steam Machine is going to cost $1,200, when just a couple of weeks ago, there was rumors coming out that there's going to be 4 tiers of the Steam Machine, with the lowest one possibly being as cheap as $500 and the most expensive one being as high as $800, because that would be like I think that would be like the 1 terabyte SKU that comes with a controller. But now that shit might all be out the window. And what that means now is that if Valve goes ahead and releases the Steam Machine at $1,000, $1,100, $1,200, then Sony will definitely be in a position to feel like they can charge $1,200, $1,300 for the PS6 and make a case that it's much more powerful than the Steam Machine, so it's worth the $1,300. And then there's Xbox with Project Helix, which is supposed to be the most powerful of them all. Now, King David is starting to sound right, that he believed that Project Helix he had been saying all along that he thinks it's going to be $1,500. People had speculated that it might be $1,000, but with these development now, $1,500 for Project Helix doesn't sound that far-fetched, especially if it's true that it's supposed to have other storefronts on it where you could access Steam and GOG and Epic. And then not only that, there's the rumor that Microsoft would do away with pay-to-play online, the former Xbox Live, that they would do away with that shit and you would no longer have to pay to play online. And my thing was like, that would be a golden opportunity for Microsoft to kill Sony if they were to price Project Helix at $1,000 or less and do away with Xbox Live, or now it's Game Pass. It's Game Pass Core. You need Game Pass Core in order to play online. So if they would have made this thing $1,000 and did away with Game Pass Core, Xbox Live, what have you, they could put some serious hurt on the PlayStation 6, because Sony is relying on every single nickel that they're getting from the PlayStation ecosystem. So the money that they're getting from PlayStation Plus, there's no way Sony's letting that money go, especially, after the most 2 recent price hikes of the service. So, but nope, knowing how Microsoft is, they're just as greedy as the other ones. Maybe even the greediest. I mean, I think at one time Microsoft was the greediest. Now, yeah, I think they're still the greediest. Sony looks like the greediest right now, but I think the shit that Sony's doing is not out of greed, but out of desperation. I think they are desperately trying to recover the $4.5 billion that they have lost from the Bungie acquisition, the Concord development with that game, and the cost of developing game. The Marathon, people were rumored that it was costing as much as $300 million, for development and marketing. So yeah, we're looking well around the $4.5 billion mark. And Sony is determined not to eat that money. So they have been raising prices everywhere. They're raising the price of the consoles, raising the price of controllers, raising the price of services. Sold off their TV brand, walking back rewards programs, the DRM shit. I mean, it's been one shady move after another with Sony, and I think this is all tied into that Concord. I think they took it on the chin with that Concord acquisition. I think they got rope-a-dope by Microsoft. I think when Microsoft bought Activision, I think Sony reacted and felt like they had to do something to match them, and they bought Bungie, which at the time seemed like a good move, because my thinking is that at the time was, there you go, make your own games and don't rely on Call of Duty for revenue. Go ahead and make your own games. But they went off and made a bunch of games that nobody likes. That was the problem. The games that we wanted, or the games that everybody else said they wanted, they canceled them. But the rumor has it that they were canceled at Bungie's urging. So I went way off the tracks. So deepest apologies. The reason why I even brought up the subject, starting with the price of the Steam frame going up, the Steam Deck, is that now those secondhand PCs that I have been screaming about for months and months and months and months don't sound so bad now. For God knows how long, these rising PC prices, I felt like, you don't have to give in to that shit. You can still build, I think, depending on what your needs are, you can still future-proof yourself at an affordable price. And I'm always talking about my PC in the bedroom with the 3070 Ti. That PC, if you have no interest in VR whatsoever and don't care about path tracing and ray tracing and all that other bullshit, that's a PC that, even with the 8 gigs of VRAM, will last you for quite a while. And with secondhand prices, I think you could build that PC for around you could probably build that PC for around somewhere between $800 and $1,000. And then the best thing about building a PC is you can still go back and play the old games. You can go to GOG and buy some of those old Xbox 360 games or PS3 games versus having to go out and get the old hardware. Because if you swear by console and you want to play those old PS3 games and you don't want to stream them and you want to play them natively, you're going to have to go find an old PS3. And so Xbox, they did hook their people up a little bit because, with these series consoles, you can still go back and play some of those 360 games. So they did hook their people up a little bit. You can go back and play those old games. And that's the reason why I bought my, one of the reasons why I bought my Series X is because my son wanted me to join him in playing some of those old Gears games. So yeah, with all these rising prices, even with the scalpers possibly raising their prices, it's probably still not that bad. In fact, let's have a quick look. Damn, I forgot to show you guys what this ugly ass Ferrari looks like. Right there. What are they thinking about? What was Ferrari thinking about with this ugly shit? I spent all that time talking about that Ferrari shit, but can't believe I didn't show it to you guys. So this is the Ferrari Luce. Now, assuming this is a Ferrari Luce as well, this one doesn't look that bad. But this one here, what the fuck? And this thing cost $640,000. I give it credit though. It's fast. I guess it does 0 to 60 in 2.5 seconds, 0 to 106 seconds, and tops out at about 195 miles an hour. All right, so let's go back to the other thing that I was gonna. Where's eBay? Oops. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Okay, so look at that. First one right out the gate, $260 a best offer for a 3070 Ti. And again, if you're not interested in playing VR, it will run a lot of games at 1080p. A lot of games at 100 frames or better. A lot of 1440p games at 100 frames or better. And hell, that PC in my bedroom that I speak of, I played like Gears of War 4 multiplayer. It ran at 4K around 140 frames per second at max settings, at like ultra settings. So if you wanted to go the VR route, this will play most VR games, but the super demanding ones, you might have some problems. So like in my case, that PC AC EVO is damn near unplayable. ACC, I have to turn the shit all the way down, you know, and use this upscaler and that, and the third in order to get it to run. Le Mans Ultimate runs pretty good on it, but again, I still have to turn everything down to low. So that's why I keep saying that if you want to build a computer that I feel would be future proof and the lowest barrier to entry, that's why I kept saying for the longest, build one that's got a 3080 Ti. And right here, here's a 3080 Ti Founders Edition for $485. Here's one for $480 or best offer. So to build a PC, in my opinion, with a 3080 Ti, depending on whether you want to go with DDR4 or DDR5, and depending on the processor and all that other shit, I think it would cost you. It could cost you anywhere from, I don't know, it could cost you anywhere from $1,100 to $1,500 to build that PC. But I think you'd be future proof. I think you wouldn't have to worry about building another PC for a long time because this card has 12 gigs of VRAM. The biggest trade-off with the 3080 Ti is that it does pour out a lot of heat when it's under heavy load, and it does consume more. It does consume more electricity than the today's cards, but you'd pretty much be able to play anything you want. So yeah. So now this again, short story long. These secondhand prices don't sound so bad, given what the PlayStation Pro costs right now, what we think the PS6 and Project Helix is going to cost, what Valve has just done with the Steam Deck, you know, changing the trajectory of what we think the Steam machine might cost. So there's that. Let me come back. Okay, so the third topic I want to talk about is real life Formula One, and Valtteri Bottas, who's a driver for Cadillac, along with Sergio Perez, is he's in a hot seat right now. Guess it's rumored that Cadillac has not been happy with his performance, and this next race at Monaco could be a make or break race for him. And if they decide to bench him, then Colton Herta would be the driver that would take his place, which I've seen him race before at the Detroit Grand Prix a couple of years ago when I went there. At the time, he was basically regarded as the best driver in IndyCar at that moment. I pretty much think that Bottas and Sergio Perez were kind of lame ducks. When Cadillac, this is Cadillac's inaugural year for Formula One. They weren't expected to do well, but I was still hopeful that they would do well. They weren't going to do well. Nonetheless, I think they went out of their way to put two legitimate drivers in the car, you know, so probably to keep some eyes on them and make it look like they are, you know, committed to getting better each year. But I think the real plan is for them to eventually put young American drivers in there in the cars because it's an American company. Formula One is expanding in America. We have 3 races here. I think we have Las Vegas, Circuit of the Americas. What did I say? Las Vegas, Circuit of the Americas. Damn, just like that, I'm having a brain fart and forgot what the 3rd American race was. Miami. Yep, Miami's the 3rd American race. Mexico kept popping in my head. That's why I couldn't think Miami. But yeah, so I think America is starting to sink their claws to Formula One more and more. So I think the more America sinks its claws into Formula One, I think the more American faces they want to put into the product. So yeah, Perez and Bottas were, as far as I'm concerned, they were lame ducks. I do think Perez would have gave them a legitimate shot if they would have given him a good car. And but Cadillac, they are fledglings when it comes to Formula One. So I guess they're doing exactly what I thought they would do. But the thing that makes this shit look funky is they pointed out that Bottas doesn't have any points. Well, I think Perez doesn't have any points either. I checked the standings and I didn't see Perez's name anywhere. So yeah, there's that. And last topic, and that is, damn, I'm going on 50 minutes. Last topic would be the Days of Play sale on the PlayStation. I guess every year the Days of Play sale is almost like a Black Friday type sale at the PlayStation Store. Not only at the PlayStation Store, but it's hardware too. I guess in the past they would normally, the PlayStation console would be on sale, but this year there's a lot of games on sale at the PlayStation Store, but they did not lower the price, or they did not put the PlayStation 5 or PlayStation 5 Pro on sale. However, they did put the PlayStation VR 2 on sale for $300. So they knocked $100 off of this Days of Play sale. And when I first heard about that, I didn't think anything of it. I'm like, well, of course they're going to put that shit on sale because it's not selling. And then I had a flash in the pan thought that, could this be another move for them to get rid of inventory so they can go ahead and so they can go ahead and wash their hands with the PlayStation VR? It was just a quick flash in the pan thought, but then I seen tweets and videos of people proposing that same scenario. They're wondering if this Days of Play sale is a move for Sony to clear out stock and then go ahead and wash their hands and be done with PlayStation VR 2. Now, the guy who hosts the Upload VR showcase every year, his name is Jamie something. He made a tweet that it'd be cool if they rebranded the PlayStation VR and the PSVR 2 became the base model, and then they came out with a new model for the PS6 and also made the current PSVR 2 forward compatible. And I commented on his tweet and said, it's over, man. Forget it. I'm like, as much as I love VR, I said, I think Sony's just going to run out whatever raw materials they have left sitting in warehouses. And once that shit runs out and they clear out inventory, that's it. I think that's it for PSVR 2. And I wasn't the only one that feels that way. A lot of people made that same something along those lines in his comments. So I think that as like I said, I also said in his comment that I think the best that we can hope for is that the current PSVR 2 would be forward compatible with PlayStation 6, so they don't get, so they don't get left behind. But yeah, I kind of think it's over for PSVR 2. So, and I think that's part of the reason why when PSVR 2 first launched and people were trying to break the encryption and shit like that, Sony was boastful that you'd have a better chance of winning the Mega Millions jackpot than to crack that fucking encryption code, because people were trying to break the encryption so you could use it on PC. And then they go ahead and open it up and give it to PC when it was supposed to be exclusive. To me, that was the second sign that they might be trying to clear out inventory so they can be done with it. I think the first sign that they had given up on PlayStation VR is when you were not able to buy any controllers separately. Like if you break your controller and you need to get a replacement, you couldn't buy one because there were none. The only way you could get a replacement controller was to go buy an entire headset just for that one controller, or try to see if you could find one on eBay or Facebook Marketplace or something. So, but yep, I think that's over with. So, all right, folks, that is all I got. Thank you to those of you who sat through 50 minutes of this. I've also could have talked about we got, next month is a pretty good month for sim racing. We've got the GT7 Hypercar DLC package. I was debating about whether to talk about that or not, and pose the question whether it's too little too late, because Sony, Polyphony Digital, they don't move off their ass until people threaten to leave. And I'm wondering what took them so goddamn long. We're nearing the end of the generation and we're just now getting hypercars. We just got two new not new, but current GT3 cars. Like that Porsche, the Porsche 992 and the Ferrari 296 that they just added over the past 4 or 5 months. Those cars should have been there day one. So these hypercars, I can't exactly say that they should have been there day one, because I don't think anybody saw IMSA and WEC blowing up the way they have over the past couple of years. I don't think people really saw that coming. But it's here. Hypercar and GT3s are the most popular classes. So when you throw, using Project Motor Racing as an example, they had to have those cars in there to get people through the door to at least take a look at the game. Because if they didn't have GT3s in that game, I don't, you think their player base is low now. It would have been much, much lower if they hadn't had GT3s in there. And they got current GT3s in there. So there's that. Also next month, we've got Race Room with their GT3 DLC. We're going to get the Aston Martin, the Mustang. They will be the first one to debut the new Lamborghini Temerario and the Porsche 992 Evo. And then we've got Formula. We've got the F126 season DLC. So yeah, it's going to be a big month in June. So, all right, folks, let's go ahead and jump into some AC Evo so I can get some use out of this Ferrari shirt that I bought. Library. AC Evo. Okay, folks, once it boots up, I got to switch over to the Oculus mirror because you guys would end up seeing a double vision, which don't look good. Oh, shit, I forgot to... Oh, okay. The OpenXR tool it is good to go. Okay. Open up the Oculus mirror. All right. Let me bring the mirror over here. Okay, let's go. Out of the games that have the Ferrari 296, I do think this one is the most fun to drive. Whoops. I wanted to see what we got for multiplayer. Road Atlanta. There's only one person there, but that ping is low. So I want to go there because of that low ping. Or we could go here to Spa. That ping is low and there's already 16 people in there. I need my red gloves. Okay, so yesterday, after I got through with Project Motor Racing, I came over here to AC EVO. And after having Project Motor Racing fresh in my mind and then jumping over here to EVO, I had my thoughts on the both of them in VR. I think it's not an apples to apples comparison because I'm able to use the OpenXR toolkit here and the sharpening filter does wonders. It makes for an extremely sharp picture, which I can't use it at the moment for Project Motor Racing because the game crashes. But based on what I saw right now, AC EVO has a sharper picture, but when I don't have a bunch of shit open in the background, the Project Motor Racing ran smoother. So there was a little bit of a trade-off. Oh shit, I missed it. Or did I? Yep, I missed it. The next session's about to start. The race is about to start here. So I gotta admit that the picture inside in here is well, hell, the picture, I think the big picture is like sitting inside the car. This picture and Project Motor Racing both had a sharp picture. Now, in the distance, Project Motor Racing had a soft...
Adrenaluquite said, I was just thinking I hope Lincoln will be streaming today and here you are.
Depending on what you hear the news that I was talking about, you're just in time or you're very, very late. Thank you though. I appreciate that. So what I was about to say is up
At
close.
Adrenaluquite said, I had a bad day, so I was hoping you would be streaming to turn that around. Smiley face.
I'm very flattered by that. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Here you go.
Ain't no stopping this train! Whoa!
This is looking a little bit jittery. I wonder what I got my settings at. I might have to go back into the settings and turn it down or something. Let's see where my settings at. Video, graphics. Ooh, ultra quality. Let's go there. Let's apply that.
At Adrenaluquite said, is EVO still having lots of bugs?
Oh shit, I think I got hit. I don't play it that much to sniff it.
RSR from the Hockey said, hey Lincoln HR, hello chat.
Pocahontas, how you doing? Adrenaline, I don't play this game enough to go fishing out the bugs. If something like reaches out and grab me, that's one thing, but I don't really go looking for it. Trust him, so I'll let him go. I'll make a move on him when I think the time's right.
At RSR Global Hockey said, I'm good, Lincoln HRU.
I'm doing pretty good. Thank you so much, young lady. Appreciate it. Dude trying to block me. Oh my God. Oh, look at that. Oh my God, what a bunch of idiots. Yeah, he said it. What a shit fest. Ah! Got 5 seconds tacked on. shit. You guys had to see that. He waited for me to get on the side of me, took me right out. I don't know. I might pay him back when I catch up to him. I mean, this is an open lobby. It's really that serious. Feeling he was going to do that, but I guess the positive side in me believed that, you know, he would let me go through, but look at the way he's swerving all over the place. If that pink Ferrari tries to overtake him, he's going to take him out. What's this idiot's name? that's what he gets. Not exactly looking smooth through, oh my God. Not exactly looking smooth through OBS. Not the smoothest looking stream. Yeah, that was totally uncalled for, that guy taking me out like that. I don't get it with this generation of drivers going out of their way to take people out like that. And this is it's an open lobby, so what were they going to gain by taking me out? Believe me, folks, it's running a lot better in the headset than what you guys are seeing on screen. Shit! Lost it right there. Need to get off the track because this isn't a good place to sit. How much time we got left in quali? All right, I think I got enough time to try to get one more lap in. Hey.
At the Mr. Fly 85 said, "We do some fun nights event with my team on a weekly basis with EVO. We use some workaround to avoid bugs like unable to drive after setup changes on race session with a 2 minutes warm-up session for setup."
As I was explaining to Adrenaluke, I don't put in enough time in this game to know what the bugs are. I mean, the only thing that really like stands out to me is that the VR is not optimized. It runs skittish. And so that's the only thing that reaches out and grabs me every time I play this game, is that the VR is not optimized. Yeah, so yeah, performance yeah, definitely needs optimizing, but any other bug, no, I wouldn't know. I mean, like Project Motor Racing, I play that enough that I know about some of the bugs. And in the case of Le Mans Ultimate, there was a new bug every week. So it wasn't a case of there's a bug that's been there for 6 months or something. It's like, you know, a bug shows up, they fix it, and then a new one shows up. That Mustang sounded pretty damn good. I don't know. I mean, I drove it once, but it sounded like a damn, I think people called it like a fart machine. Damn, I turned in that 119.6 and I'm still starting what? 8th? I wonder if there's people dropping out because now I'm 4th. So as I was saying about the VR comparison, even though it's not an apples to apples comparison, but based on the way my computer is set for both of them, in the distance.
At Necrodogs. Said. At Necrodogs. Said. Hope everyone's doing well.
Face shaker just shut off.
This game is not optimized either on Trident, but it's pretty playable, I must say. On my system it had better performance with higher settings, may be worth a try for you.
I'll come back and check that afterwards. My base shakers went out on me. No! I was scared he was gonna hit me. First place car so far ahead of us, I'll probably never catch him.
At Adrenaline 20 said, I'm super excited about GT7 having 5 hypercars soon.
Yeah, but it's a long time coming. It should have been there. Should have been there a long time ago. Trying to break it to the 118s. So I did a 119.2. It was in second place at the time. It doesn't show it, but my car is damaged. So I can take a moment to come back and check the chat. Damn, but that was fun though. It was fun. All right, let me check comments. And let me find something to... Okay. Let me check the comments real quick. Yes, the game is not optimized either on triple, but it's pretty playable, I must say. On my system, it had better performance with higher settings. Maybe worth a try for you. Yeah, better performance with higher settings. I had it set. I was using DLSS quality just now. I don't know.
Might go Mr. Fly 85 said that was unfortunate.
Hey, that was all on me though, because I was getting greedy. I wasn't. Yeah, I was trying to catch the first place car, but I was also trying to break into the 118s. So where I wiped out at, it was already, it was kind of going to happen because I was already off of the racing line. So rather than slow down and try to get back onto the racing line, I kept pushing. So when that one hard turn came up, the car was already swaying one way from the weight transfer. So I was already, you know, bottom line is I should have aborted that lap and just got back on the race line and then tried to get ready for the next lap. But I got greedy and was trying to make something out of a lap that, because I saw green on the Delta. First I was in the red, and then just before I wiped out, I was in the green. So I was still trying to make something out of that lap when I should have just conceded it and just let it go. So yeah, that's all on me. Oops. Now, I could go to the settings and go to graphics. Turn that DLSS off. so I can go medium. Apply that. See what happens. What is he doing? I tried. Lost it. Why'd he park his car there to try to fuck everybody up? Yeah, this lap is over. Right there too. Damn it. Lost it right there, braking late. Yeah, it is. Oh my God. All right. I admit that I'm licked this race. I will get that 118. Let's see what the fastest laps are so far, though. This Mustang, he did a 122.5. The leader is. He did a 121.1. He did a 119.1. So there's
At
one.
Necrodogs said, it's the worst. And also the best.
Yeah.
At Necrodogs said, too bad.
Yeah. So right now, if
At
I
the
want.
Mr. Fly 85 said, well, good night, I must go to bed.
All right, Mr. Fly, thank you for dropping in.
Ain't no stopping this train.
There's
Whoa!
the road for you. So right now, it looks like I might have the second fastest lap. So the guy that's got the fastest lap had a 119.1 and I had a 119.2. So I believe I could have had the fastest lap. I do believe I could have broken to the 118s. So yeah, I'll try it again.
At the Mr. Fly 85 said, hand pink waving.
All right, good sir. Oh shit. Well, here's the pink side of my hand, so I guess pink hand waving. Have a good night. Here's a Brands hatch. Nope, they won't let the GT3 in there. Nope. Damn, 28 of them at that road Atlanta. I could tell you right now. Oh, let me get back to what I was going to say first about the VR. This versus Project Motor Racing. Again, it's not an apples to apples comparison because I am using the OpenXR toolkit here, which I can make the picture sharper. But on the inside, in the cockpit, both of them have a sharp display. I can see everything. I can see the details, the small numbers on the dashboard. However, in the distance, Project Motor Racing looks a little soft. AC Evo, on the other hand, in the distance, the picture is clear but grainy. So it's kind of a trade-off. You know, the distance on Project Motor, the distance here, I mean, I can see the track clearly, but like the trees and stuff in the distance look grainy. And the trees in the distance on Project Motor Racing look soft. But they both do what I need them to do, and that's to be able to see the track. And I think I'm going to take a moment to run to the bathroom. You gotta be kidding. The game crashed on me, or did it? Yeah, the game crashed on me. I guess I'll take that moment to the asynchronous space warp. Let's put it on 45 enabled to see what happens. Hmm. It's a Ferrari. Oh. There we go. Okay, so yeah, folks, I got to go to the bathroom. I'll be right back. All right. Doesn't this Ferrari shirt go nice with that 296? Get the mirror out again. All right. Let's see what we can find. Oh, I noticed the wheels aren't shimmering this time. Damn, we might have to jump back into that road Atlanta. Unless I want to do a single player race. I don't know why, but I've kind of been feeling a little bit of Donington lately. That's an interesting track. And then there's the ever popular Sebring. And that's locked. So there's 600 people online. Yeah, might have. Well, I'll dive back in here for a second to see how it's running now that I like fully the space warp. bit better. I see slight ghosting on certain objects, but it seems like it's running better. Session is ended, okay. Wow! You feel better now, dude? Unbelievable. How do we come into a generation full of idiots? Yeah, the AI is terrible too in here. But I'm feeling like Sebring and I'm feeling like Donington. See all of them. Is Daytona on here? No. Watkins Glen is another good one that I like. Brands Hatch, that's attracted. It's hit or miss with me. Sometimes I've had good laps, sometimes bad. Better. I just need to do something about the aliasing. Graphics. Multi-sample aliasing. See how that works. I think that made much of a difference from what I'm seeing. Oh, I know what else I needed to do is take a look. There it is. Now it wants to work. There we go. Now my base shakers are working. right into the back of me. Wow. Woo! Well, where I got it set at now, it is running a little bit better. All right. Damn, that Red Bull Ring got a bunch of people in there. It's got a, I meant to say it's got a high ping. I'm sorry. It's 2 people in that Laguna Seca. I guess I could go monkey around in there for a couple of laps. Let's go. they didn't invalidate the lap. Fucking greedy. Oh, that was the race. Yep, disconnected from server. Yeah, they still at Road Atlanta. All right, I think I'll give it one more go at Road Atlanta, then hang it up. Oh, shit. off sooner, but thank you. Oh, shit. Well, this is quali anyway, so... But I did have the... Well, shit. I'm not too far off the leader. The fastest lap here is 118.8, and I did a 119.1. I'm not that far off. All right, 10 minutes quali. Let's go. Damn, everybody jumping out here at once. Oh, Lordy. What the hell are you doing? Come on, dude. Let me through. Go ahead, you go. Maybe you can make it move. Damn, go ahead. 118.8. Right now, I got the second fastest lap. My car is probably too damaged to try to make anything out of it. Oh, look at that. The fastest lap only got me by, he got me by a half a second. I'm gonna leave it there. See if anybody else can beat it. Yeah, can I spectate? Yeah, he's the fastest one so far. There goes his lap right there. Whatever he was trying to do is ruined. Yep, destroyed. That killed it right there in the dirt. That's it. Unless he ran out of fuel, he pretty much gave up. Excuse me. Boy, I got beat out. This guy in the Porsche got me. But I also see that these guys put enough fuel in the car to get their qualies in. So who knows? If I would have taken some fuel out, maybe I could have got a couple of extra tenths. There's his lap. Idiot backed out in front of him. What is, I swear, some people just, something is wrong with them. I want to use much stronger words, but that was totally uncalled for. They just, that was his last shot at trying to make a good lap. Yeah, all the windows are shattered. Oh shit! Look who's in here. My teammate Hernandez Catoni is in here, and he's driving a Ferrari. My teammate Henez Katoni, I know at some point you're gonna see this. So what's up, teammate? How you doing? Good luck. We're in an open lobby, so we both gonna need it. So somebody explain this to me. At the second fastest lap, third fastest lap, but yet it's telling me I'm okay, 10th, 9th.
At Hanny C63 said, "Good luck to you too, teammate."
Yep, same to you, teammate. All right. Oh shit. Trying to get a good exit. I got second place back. Well, it was a nice second place run until that happened. Something must have happened to Henez Catoni. Something must have happened to Henez. I don't see him in here anymore. Yeah, this generation of drivers. As I was getting on the side of him, he was under control, but he twitched it and knocked me off the track. And I think he tried to make it look like he was still out of control. It's unreal. So oh well. How long have I been on? Damn, going on 3 hours. Damn, it's already 10 o'clock. Holy shit. Yeah, I've been on 3 hours. So I want to thank those of you who spent the first 50 minutes, 60 minutes listening to me blab. But yeah, I thought there was a lot of news. And yeah, wanted to give my 2 cents on it. So today's Wednesday. I'm gonna do my best to try to wait a day or two before I stream anything again, because I've been watching the Project Motor Racing Discord closely, and they're definitely working on the VR to try to improve it, but I don't know if they can get something done this week or not. So fingers crossed that they can get something done this week. So I am going to tentatively say that I'm looking to come back Friday or Saturday. That is, unless we would get an update for Project Motor Racing tomorrow relative to the VR, and then I will go live again tomorrow. But if not, yeah, look for me. Look for me Friday or Saturday. Now, as far as the upcoming stuff, yes, I will stream F126 once we get that DLC. I will stream GT7, although I'm not sure if I will spend the $11 or whatever for the 1-month membership of PlayStation Plus, because I don't know if I got it in me to go into those races and get knocked off the track the way you just saw right there. And then what else? I don't know when it's supposed to happen, but we also got the new GT3s coming for Race Room as well. So yeah, once we get the DLC for all of those titles, I will stream all of them. So until then, want to thank you all for watching. All of you have a good evening. And you all know the line: Wakanda forever, long live the king, and deuces. We'll catch you later, everybody. Have a good one.